Hello, welcome to Microsoft Fabric Learning Series. My name is NagaSai, and I work with Microsoft as a cloud solution architect in the data and AI platform. In this video, we are going to speak about data engineering section experience within Microsoft Fabric. We will speak about what is data engineering, what are all the services we have in data engineering, and the Lakehouse end-to-end architecture. And we have utilities like Lakehouse Explorer, SQL endpoint in Lakehouse, followed by a short demo. What is data engineering in Microsoft Fabric? It is it is going to enable users to design, build, and maintain the infrastructures and systems that enable their organizations to collect, store, process, and analyze large volumes of data. So if the organization is working on any structured, unstructured, or semi-structured data for the data analytics, and also to perform something like the machine learning data science experiments, we are going to store the data in a component called Lakehouse, in an architecture called Lakehouse, right? So if you open the data engineering experience within Microsoft Fabric, the landing page will have these components: Lakehouse, Notebook, Spark job definition, data pipeline, and also it provides you the ability to import an existing notebook, right? So let's go into each component in detail. What is a lake house? Most of the users who are already performing data analytics would be knowing what is a lake house. But these are like, lake houses are the data architectures that allows organizations to store any type of data, structured, unstructured, or semi-structured data, and later they can actually use it for the machine learning, data science experiments, all of that. And how do they do that? Using either Spark jobs or notebooks. The difference between these two, if you look at Spark job, these are the set of instructions that define how to execute a job on a Spark cluster. So it is a predefined job. It is not an interactive execution. You will give the set of instructions and automatically those will get performed on a Spark cluster. Whereas notebook, as you know, it is different from Spark job. It is an interactive computing environment. So mostly in the data science field, all the data scientists will perform their analysis using the notebooks because they are the uh, uh, they are the documents that contains live code, any equations, any visualizations, or any narrative text, etc. It is interactive way of computing. And we also use data pipeline. These are the series of steps that are used to collect, process, and transform data. So from the data source, you are going to bring in the data to the lakehouse using these data pipelines. If you look at the architecture, the Microsoft Fabric allows extracting the data from structured, unstructured or semi-structured sources using the pipelines or data flows. Another way, instead of integrating the data, moving the data to the lakehouse, you can also have shortcut enabled sources using the shortcuts. You can have the data link mentioned in the lakehouse, and we will perform the transformations using either notebooks or data flows as we spoke. And also for SQL specific workload or structured data, you can also use SQL endpoint. And once the data gets analyzed, transformed, you can either redirect it to visualize the data using either Power BI or Lake Warehouse, basically, right? This is the architecture. And if you look at the data Lake Explorer, you can see it is an interactive image. On the left side, you can see we imported few tables like customer, inventory, product, sales, and also transactions, right? These are all the tables. And what it also provides a preview of data and it will store all the data in the delta format. These are the delta tables. So for the table, there is a triangle kind of image for the table, which indicates that is managed delta table within the lakehouse. And we also have SQL endpoint. It is primarily for the SQL workloads. We can also have SQL endpoint. So basically, what we can assume is once you provide, because it is a SaaS product, software as a service product, right? So it will abstract all the internal details once you give the instruction to create a lakehouse. Eventually, what will happen internally is it will also create a warehouse. That is how it is going to give you a SQL endpoint connectivity for the lakehouse. But the difference between the normal SQL and the warehouse and the SQL endpoint here is this is read only. So whatever the SQL endpoint which is provided in the for the lakehouse is only, it is a read only thing, right? You can only extract the queries, like perform the select operations. So let's get into the demo. What are we going to do? The prerequisites, you must subscribe for free trial for Microsoft Fabric. In a separate session, I will talk about how do you do that. And you need to download one of the file so that we can play around with that file by importing it. So let's dive in to the first look of Fabric. This is how your Fabric looks like, right? So I actually enrolled for free trial. As you can see, 59 days left. And once you go to the admin portal, for example, it will also tell you in which region your free trial is enrolled for. You can see it is available in West Central US region under my name, right? So in the if you look at the left bottom corner, you can switch the experience. You can go to Power BI, you can go to Data Factory, and you can select data engineering. I selected data engineering, and the minimum thing, the basic unit you need to enable is create a workspace. So in my demo, I mentioned in detail, we are going to create a workspace called test fabric demo. So let us do that. Test fabric demo. And this is for demo purpose. Demo the fabric capability. So you can see the license mode is trial. Okay, I'm applying. The workspace gets created now. You can see test fabric demo is the workspace. In this, I need to create another resource like the lake house. So I'm showing all, as you can see, within data engineering, you have a component called lake house. You can give the name. So in my demo, I clearly mentioned test lake house. You can give anything, but I just wanted to test lake house. I'm creating the lake house. So what happens while creating is basically it will go to the one lake, create the directories for this, to store the data, the file structures, right? Because one lake is the default storage for any component or any compute within the fabric. Also, as I mentioned during the SQL endpoint discussion, it will also create a SQL warehouse internally, and it will provide the endpoint, SQL endpoint ability, right? So this is the Lakehouse Explorer, as you can see. So you can expand the tables. Right now, there are no tables though, because it is just created now. And what I'm going to do is I will select the first option, new data flow Gen 2, uh, the option I will select, right? So new pipeline is selected. Now I'm also going to select import from a text or CSV file option. Now I will select upload option, right? And if you browse, I already have a table which I downloaded, which I also mentioned from where you can download the file, right? In the prerequisites, I am downloading that file. So for this connection string, I selected the upload file option. As you can see, it got selected. I'm going for next. You can see that this is the beauty about Microsoft Fabric. So before the data gets ingested to the target, it will give the preview of data, what you are actually importing, right? Uh, you know, I like this feature a lot actually, right? So I'm going for create. Now we set from the source side everything correctly. Now what we need to do is we need to ensure the data destination settings also get selected properly. So source side everything is fine. Now what I'm going to do is I will create a new data destination. As you can see from the bottom corner on the right side. So there is a data destination option. I clicked on plus. I'm selecting Lakehouse. And what exactly, I'm creating a new connection. Lakehouse, I selected. I'm going next. We are going to choose the destination now. What is the name of the workspace? We create a test fabric demo. So I need to select with that test fabric demo is the name of the workspace. So within this workspace, there's supposed to be test lakehouse. I selected that. And the table name I'm going to select is the destination table as dimension underscore customer. It is part of facts and dimensions. So this customer table is a dimension table. Now I'm going next. As you can see, I selected the workspace and I selected the lake house. Is it an existing table? No, it is a new table. As of, before I start the demo, as you had seen, the lake house was empty. I selected next. So it is asking me what is the update method you want to do. I selected replace, which is the default one, and it is giving the mapping. So what was the source? What are the columns in the table, and how that is getting mapped to the destination. All looks good. I clicked on save settings. If an existing table, then you will have to choose append option, right? So I'm publishing it because everything looks good for me from the pipeline point of view. I clicked on publish. So this pipeline is getting saved, and you can see now within my Fabric demo workspace, there are number of resources are getting created. One is obviously Lakehouse, as you can see, and there is SQL endpoint already created, right? And also a data set got created by default. Now our data flow job is currently running. As you can see, that is currently running, right? So how do I verify whether I have the table or not? Go to this lakehouse, click on this lakehouse, and it will open the Lakehouse Explorer as we spoke about, right? So within this, see if you have any table already called dimensions underscore customer. As of now, table has not come. Maybe it is getting refreshed. Once the pipeline gets completed, usually it will not take this long. Once the pipeline gets completed, you can see that table is going to come here within this under table section. So it has created the endpoint now, as you can see, successfully created the SQL endpoint. So it is asynchronous. Once you give the create lakehouse option, in the backend, it will create a warehouse. So, but it will not give the lakehouse access to the users. It won't wait for the endpoint to be created on the SQL side. So automatically SQL endpoint also got created. Now you can see dimension underscore customer has come. Now you can see the preview here, right? You can see the preview in the lakehouse view itself, right? Lakehouse Explorer itself. Otherwise, on the top, there is lakehouse. There you can select SQL endpoint. Now you are actually switching to the SQL endpoint, but this is read only. That's the only thing I want you to remember. It is just read only. It is not a read write thing. So it is also showing us a dimensions underscore customer. You can query the table just like how a T-SQL queries can be performed. You can actually query on the table. I just selected new query. I'm going to write T-SQL statement, select star from dimension underscore customer, and I can run the query. It will show the results in couple of seconds. See here, sorry, in the results section, you can see the rows are there. So you can download the data within the Excel file. You can also visualize the results, right? You did not do anything. What actually you did in this demo, you imported a CSV file and you actually imported it as a table within the lake house, right? Now let's look at the magic of Microsoft Fabric. Go back to the workspace. Okay, how do you notice the workspace? This is the workspace symbol on the left side. Okay, I am switching back to the workspace. Okay, now there is something called data set, right? Click on that. And once it gets open, there is create report. So I click on that and I'm selecting auto create. You did not do anything from the visualization aspect till now. You just imported a CSV file as a table in the lakehouse. Now look at the magic of Microsoft Fabric. It is ready with the data, I mean, as a report by default. You just created a lake house, imported a table, and it is already prepared a report. It is an automatically created report. You can also do it on your own, but it is an automatically generated report, right? Show data table, you can actually go for it, or you can also access the report, right? You can get the by default whatever the report gets generated, predefined report also you can get it. That's all from my side. In the next section, we will talk about how do I migrate data from other sources. We just saw from CSV today. We will talk about how to get the data from Azure SQL and Synapse, SQL Pool, and also Cosmos DB, like various different sources. Thank you so much. Hope this session or video is useful. Thank you.